Hey folks, Karshel here. Welcome back. We are rejoining our Nobodies crew. Aw, my contract with the herbivores ended. So that means the goat is probably going to wander away, unless of course I remilk it. Karshel, go talk to the goat. Let's see if it'll stay. Keep a goat. Okay, good. We got the goat back. And okay, he didn't give me any milk that time. He just decided to hang around. I'm good with that. I get tired of milking this fool thing anyway. Anyway, we're rejoining our group that has been building in Squin and training. I kind of went offline to do this since it was just kind of make work for a while. As you can see, our forces have grown just a little bit. We are up to 7 in the what used to be the mining patrol. We have Karshel, who will also join the field unit, because that's what that's going to get renamed to, and then the 2 folks working in Squin itself. Now, what we have been doing as I recruit these people, and this has all been done simply by visiting the bars and selling the armor off that Flick has made and turning it around and buying the money with them. Once I get somebody in the crew, they come up here and begin to work. So, meet Kang. He wasn't on the last video. His melee defense is 15, or correction, his melee attack is 15. Thievery is up to 10. He has not worked assassination yet. He is in the process of working lockpicking, but when I load a game, it doesn't automatically restart. He's done a little bit of work on turrets, but not much. But he'll be joining the field unit. Jared, melee attack is 13, so he's got a couple of points that he can go there, because I can go up to 15 with these now. His field medic stats are great, so that's going to be his primary duty, is to keep people alive. I think that when I take him out into the field after he is equipped, he's going to be primarily on a block setting so that he doesn't get beaten down, but his melee attack will be leveled up a little bit. I just tend to think that medics, again from a traditional MMO background, thinking in terms of healers and priests, their damage isn't going to be nearly as important as their ability to stand there and resist taking damage. So I'm going to focus on working up his melee defense. Celestial Paladin is one of the few that actually has been geared up at this point. He has a fairly nice set of gear. Looking at the white plate jacket, standard grade, if you look at the coverage in the lower right part of its box, 100% on arm, stomach, and chest, which is going to be great. The cut resistance, 40% stun, I'm not thrilled with. I would rather that stun number be a little bit higher, but for now that's going to be sufficient. When you look at his stats, melee attack is almost maxed. That's what he's going to be working on next. Thievery at 9, assassination at 9, athletics has gone up well, turrets is maxed for what I can train. So we'll have him working a little bit more on the melee attack, but with his armor, he's going to be ready to stand against a lot of things. Settled, for lack of a better way to put that, has done a little bit of cooking because we got the goat. So not a lot of it. It didn't skill up a lot. He has worked melee attack up to the level of my training turrets that I have built. His melee defense was okay when I got him, as well as some of the weapon stats. He was one of those that cost 6,000 to pick up. He has worked thievery. He has not yet done anything with lockpicking and assassination. That's what he's going to be doing shortly. And strength, dexterity, and toughness are doing okay. Victor, of course, has been here from the beginning. Stealth is doing okay. Medic is not doing too terrible. Laboring is good because he did a lot of mining. He can still work further with turrets. Melee attack is almost maxed. Thievery and assassination and lockpicking have all been worked. And strength is doing great because of running back and forth with all the ore. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that goes up to 10. And thievery was at 9, so Victor's going to work there until he maxes that out. Okay, did you have turrets maxed out? You did not, so you're going to go over here and work on the turrets. Rucka also is geared. You know, being that she is another Shek, and they get bonuses to toughness and strength and attack and all that good stuff, I wanted her set up. And she came with some fairly decent stats when we started with her. But melee attack is almost maxed. Melee defense on her is great, so she is definitely going to be one of the taunters. I figure she and Karshel are going to have that job initially. She needs work on basically everything. Assassination, at this point, I can take up to 9, so she's going to finish that up. Now, I did end up building a couple of cages up here. I decided that I was not comfortable with the whole aspect of, okay, letting the prisoner out of the cage and beat the hell out of him. But since I'm running a mod that allows me to recruit prisoners or have the possibility of recruiting prisoners, every now and then I will grab somebody up and see if I can convince them to join the squad. Now, 9s I grabbed quite a while ago, as far as in videos, before I did most of the rest of these folks. So his melee attack is already maxed for what I can train. Assassination is maxed. He can still work lockpicking, thievery, and turrets is maxed by what we can do here. But he's just kind of on standby at the moment. Karshel has been doing primarily the cheese work. But his stats are not terrible. Cooking is getting up to 19. Stealth is great. Lockpicking is great. Assassination is maxed. Thievery he needs work on. But melee attack is almost maxed for what I can do. Turrets is maxed for what I can do. Now let's look at what Flick is not doing over here. I'm assuming she's out of leather again. Yep, she is. Okay. And high grade, and high grade. So she's going to take these down and sell them and see what we can do about getting her back up and running again. All the recruitments that I have done, all the work that I have done as far as getting armor on those that have it, has been accomplished through the sales of the armor that Flick has produced. So by the time you decide you want to hit the field, if you decide to play this way, you can actually be set up and somewhat geared. Of course, you can always go out and jump in the normal mode where people just go out and start beating on things. There are pluses to that. In the starts that I was doing, I was just getting pummeled down so badly that it's like, you know, I want to try something different. So with this way, I will have a squad that very likely will be able to stand toe-to-toe with a lot of people as far as the low-level groups. Starving bandits, dust bandits, that kind of thing. Without as much risk of losing an arm, losing a leg, getting killed, any of that kind of thing. They still are going to get beat down. And I'm going to have to make sure that I'm carrying plenty of medical supplies when I head out in order to recover the group. And doing that over and over and over will greatly increase the toughness, which will make the survivability aspect so much better for the group. But it's going to take getting your butt kicked a few times before that starts to happen. I figure since the vendor hadn't restocked the leather, I might as well just be out here and see if there's anyone here I have not taken weapons from yet. Looks like the majority of them I did already. Hungry Bandit. Are you a Hungry Bandit? You are as well. Yeah, how's my faction looking? A little better with Dust Bandits. Not great with Starving Bandits. It's not going to matter because pretty soon they're all going to become targets. Now, are you unconscious? Doesn't look like you have a weapon anyway. What about you? Not you either. Okay, so I'm not going to worry about those. So at this point, I am waiting for the store to reopen to get some leather so Flick can start producing again. Karshel is doing the cheese. The only real issue I have with this is that there is no way to automatically clear the stove with at least this particular recipe. Now, I love having the food value of the cheese. 30 is not terrible. Because of the pain in the butt of having to monitor this rather than just queuing it up and letting it go, it's almost better to sell the milk, which sells for 300 cats. But I figure when the group goes out into the field, having the additional cheese is not going to be a bad thing. It just means that I can stay out for longer and not have to worry about restocking. Gonna kick the speed up a little bit. Now, when I talked about this in an earlier video, I said one of the advantages of doing this and having a base in town is once you reach a point where your armor production is covering your costs, you basically can supply your armor and then walk away for the keyboard. So if you have other things that you want to do at home or need to do at home, it gives you a way to be in game and improve your game stats and play without having to be devoted to just sitting at the keyboard, which is definitely advantageous for some times. Okay, Jared's skill is still going up, but very, very slow. Celestial Paladin, melee attack is still only at 13, so he's got a little bit of work to do yet. It just gets to the point where it's going up very, very slowly as things are going on. The higher they get in skill, the longer it takes. I don't believe I have any additional research that I can be doing at the moment. I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to need ancient science books. So far, this group has not run across any of them. I know that there are some on vendors out there. It's going to take some effort to find them. And that's one of the things that's going to happen once the group starts hitting the field. We're going to go look around a little bit. I've already been thinking somewhat about setting up a base, and have learned a little bit about setting up walls and various mining and industry type things. But I have not focused on that because here, while I have been in town, that's kind of irrelevant. I'm not really free to build a lot of things here in town because I do not own the area. It belongs to the Sheik. And they're pretty protective of that kind of thing. Waiting for the store to open and hoping that he is restocked and has leather this morning. Yeah, vendors have woken up. Doors should be opening here momentarily. There we go. Show me your goods. Only 5. Well, I'll take it. It's not terrible bad. And 6 more books. We will grab those. Nothing else that I need at the moment. When I do get to the point where I'm starting up a actual outpost out in the boonies, then it probably will be a good idea for me to carry building material with me. For the initial walls, the weakest walls, you need 1 building material per wall. So that's something that I'm going to be definitely wanting to be able to pre-start and build a few walls. And we'll drop off the books first, and then I expect her to run right back over there and do her thing. Yep. She's pretty good about that kind of stuff. Okay, show research. There we go. Now, since I am already thinking in terms of setting up an outpost, starting to research the various support systems. And by that, I mean being able to power the refinery so that it only takes 1 person to work it rather than 3. Improving the stone mining, improving the wells, all that kind of stuff becomes far more relevant than what I have been dealing with. But so does the whole thievery training thing. The training aspects and things that I can do here, because I intend to leave Dular and Flick here to do additional recruiting while the group is out and about, if I decide to continue to grow the squad, is going to be important. Crossbow bolts will be important once I set up a walled compound. One of the things that I will mount on the walls are crossbows, and of course making the bolts to feed them is going to make a difference. I have never actually made the arrow making bench, which you can see in the lower section, or the storage for crossbow parts or bolts. The few times that I've used them have just been using what I have looted off of mobs. Pardon me. Splints might be handy. I haven't really needed a lot of them as long as I've had first aid kits, but I'm considering their use. Farming. Fishing is an option that is given by a mod. I went searching for it because on one of my games, I was not able to stand up with my group to the huge amount of swamp raptors that were in the area. So I wanted to have another option for food. So I went out and found a fishing mod, which worked quite well for me. Oh, electrical. Wind generator theory, I think, is worth having, because when you start looking at the tech to improve your industry, to improve your smithing and everything else, you're going to need to be able to generate power as well. Battery capacity I've never really screwed with, but after looking at that short video clip that I included with how much of a difference having lighting makes to production and research speed, I think having the ability to have batteries overnight, if the wind capacity drops or something along those lines, can make a big difference. There are times here with Flick's work that the bench she is working on, which draws power from Squin, goes to virtually unpowered, and it slows the production down to 20% of normal or 10% of normal. That's going to make a difference. And battery capacity here itself might be useful simply so that she can continue to turn things out. Again, it hasn't been critical because With the vendor having iffy supplies of leather so that she runs out anyway, okay. If she runs out, she runs out. Burning through it faster is not necessarily an advantage. Either way, I have to wait for the vendor restock before I can do much with it. Hemp-based fabrics, as far as I know, until I actually start growing hemp, it's not going to be relevant. So I'm not going to worry too much about that. Tech level 4, again, requires the ancient science books. I wish that I had that. And these need engineering research, which I do not have. So, I think I'm going to spend the books on fishing. Splints, because eventually those could be very useful. No, training, thievery training, since I only have the 4 books. Okay, the goat's ready to talk again. Karshel, go talk to your buddy. There you go. And I know that I could set up a storage box for cheese, and maybe that would solve the problem of me having to sit here and do this. In fact, I may do that shortly. But I wanted to provide this video as an update to what is happening to the Nobodies start squad. As you can see, things have changed a little bit. We basically have a full-blown training facility going up and running, which is increasing the viability of everybody. We are in the process of gearing a few folks up. So that is happening. Again, though, it is going to take some time and armor sales to be able to get everybody geared up. The ones that are most important to me to gear, of course, Celestial Paladin, Karshel, Kang, Sets, Nines, and Jared. Probably Rucka, in all honesty. They are all tank types now that I'm looking at it. So I want to make them as viable as possible. Loading them down with heavier gear and armor is just part of the process with that. It'll increase their strength, it'll increase their survivability. Thank you for joining me for this one. We will jump in with the next update when I have a full group of 10 field force that are geared, that are trained, and are ready to start rolling. Have a great day. Karshel out.